Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Erin and I do mostly budgeting videos, but I also do other videos here and there like the one you're about to see here. For tuning in and spending some time with me. I've been busy this weekend and I have not been that busy with my side hustle, which is delivering for Grubhub and Instacart. And I feel guilty about it because I need to make the money, but I also needed just a little bit of a breather and some time at home. I needed to get some things done. And unfortunately, when you're working, one job, during the day, and then you're trying to do something else in the evenings and on the weekends, sometimes it can get to the point where you just need some time to get your own stuff done. I needed to get some things in order and do some grocery shopping and things like that. Now, last week I didn't do grocery shopping, so that's why you didn't see a meal planning video. I didn't meal plan at all, and I found that it was a little bit more chaotic because I didn't. Now, if you guys are familiar, usually every Sunday I have been doing this meal planning where I kind of talk about the dinners that we're going to have for the following week, and then I make a grocery list that is an accompaniment to the meals. So I figure out everything that needs to go into grilled chicken pasta salad, and then I put down all the components and figure out if we already have them or if we need to buy them. So that's kind of how I've been doing it. And as you can see, I left off at this actually is the last video I did for this, June 8th through the 14th. So last week was a kind of a failure to plan week. I'm not really thrilled about that, but like I said, sometimes with doing other things and, trying to work more than one job, time gets away from you. I got tons and tons of stuff done yesterday, and I got a lot done this morning, but then yesterday I also decided that I wanted to start making some little notebooks. I reached for a notebook because I like to write down everything that I spend, and usually I buy a field notes, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's like a little mini traveler's notebook, and it's very thin, and I keep that in my purse. Sometimes I can keep it actually inside my wallet, and I write down everything that I spend. It just is something that is kind of like a double check for me that I'm not going off the grid or off my budget plan, and I really, really like that. Last Christmas, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I put, or maybe you don't know, I had made some traveler's notebooks, and they all went up on my Etsy shop. In my Etsy shop, I would love to open it up again. I'm just not sure how to go about it. I ended up losing money when I offered the printables for 20 cents each, which was totally fine. I knew that was going to happen, and I was happy to do it for anyone who got some use out of those. I'm also thinking about putting my printables on my blog. I do have a blog, and there is a link to it. I just haven't updated it in forever. But I'm thinking about putting PDFs and things like that there for anyone to use. But I was mostly selling cash envelopes, and then I listed notebooks as well. And the cash envelopes, I feel like I did fairly well with those, and I would like to get those back up and running. I did have some questions, where do I get my envelopes? And I make all of them. Some of them are just really simple, kind of basic, what I use from, I would say, regular scrapbook paper, but I do have other sets, and let me grab one because my sinking fund envelopes are put away. This is like kind of the same kind of set that I have in the brown, in the craft paper that I've been using for my sinking funds. So I make everything myself just because for me, I have lots of paper, and I've always been one to want to craft. So I've always made my own stuff, basically. And if you're interested in how I make these, I also have a video listed, and I think it might be in the description or it might not be. But you can find it on my channel, and it's just how I make my cash envelopes. But back to the notebooks. So I had made several versions, and I actually took them down because I was making them for like a December daily. And December daily, if you're not familiar with that concept, is like where you journal and put photos into some kind of photo album or notebook, and you journal and collage basically every day during December up until Christmas. Some people do it past Christmas, and I really like the concept, and the concept is not mine. It's something that another person came up with. You can find tons of videos about it here on YouTube, but I decided to make notebooks for the December process. So whether you're doing December daily or you're keeping track of gifts and lists and maybe parties and get-togethers and or just like special things that you want to record, that's kind of why I made these notebooks. So I made several different ones. And as you can see here, I didn't even trim this one. So that is something that I have to do when I make a notebook. You can see this one it doesn't have that overhang. This one is just a couple different covers. So I have them in various stages of completion. Here's another one. So I made the classic traveler's notebook size. For me, I prefer more of the folded size. This is the 8.5 by 11. So this is called half letter, and it's just basically 8.5 by 11 paper folded in half. That's why they call it half letter. But I have these, and these are some that I will complete because I probably will put them back on my Etsy this year. But I have tons and tons of these. So it's been a while since I've made my own. That's actually been since December. So what I did yesterday when I was looking for a little field notebook, I thought, you know what, I need to make some notebooks. So I went ahead, pulled out some cardstock for the cover, and then I printed some lined paper just right off of Google. So I'm not sure why it has this like little hash mark up here, but it does. And it doesn't bother me at all. Like that's something that I would put a date or a header above. But yeah, this is just lined paper that I printed at home. And these are just staple bound, 2 staples here. So again, this is 8.5 by 11 paper. This is 8.5 by 11 copy paper, folded in half. I trimmed the edges so there's no overhang here. And then I did a little corner round punch with this little one. I do have that big corner chomper. I don't even know the name of it, but it's the one that's like kind of a grippy one. But this works really well, and this is a 1/2 inch one, so it rounds the corners nicely. So I just think it makes the book look a little bit more finished. What also is nice about rounded corners, they don't have that sharp edge that can get kind of crushed and, you know, damaged just from wear and tear. So I made some floral ones. I made this one, I think is really pretty. This black and white. This bobby pin was just so cute. I printed some grid paper for some of these. And again, you could just find different kinds of paper on Google and print what you like. This one has the dot grid, and I really like that too. Here's a floral. I made a couple of these and more of these. I had lots of this cover paper here. Now for the fall, I also made, here's a random piece of paper. I also made this one. Now I made this at Christmas time too because I wanted to make kind of, you know, these little daily journals, little scrapbook journals, or what could you call it, like a junk journal. So I put various different papers in here, and again I made this at Christmas time too, kind of anticipating next fall, and I just think it's super cute. You know, you can put pictures, you can journal on the blank pages or use the pattern pages as kind of a background for photos and things like that. And the same with this one. So I've been making notebooks for a while. I just haven't been putting them on Etsy because Etsy was just, it's a lot of work, which I don't mind. But I had offered my cash envelopes. That was the biggest seller that I had on Etsy. I offered those for like $12 plus free shipping. And the free shipping was really, really getting me in some cases because it was a lot more money than I had anticipated. So I don't know if I could do that again with completely free shipping, or if I would have to lower the envelope price. It's just, I'm not sure what I would do about that. If you guys have any suggestions or advice, I would love to hear it because I'm not that versed with Etsy. I mean, I did a lot of it at the beginning, or actually I did a lot of it last year. I opened my Etsy shop, I think last June, and I ran it until about Christmas time. And then when the pandemic hit and things like that, I just knew that I wasn't going to be going to the post office or doing shipping. If you have advice for me, I would really love to hear it. I'm going to spend some of this day too to answer some comments. So please know that I am reading every single thing that you leave. And a lot of times, if you do have a question for me, I do try to answer them in the video itself. But let's get to what I really wanted to bring you here. I have this tracker that I used for one of my credit card debt payoffs. So as you can see here, this debt started out at $14,400. Now I had two debts, and I think together they totaled about $36,000 or $34,000. And I have my other tracker somewhere. I have to find it because I switched notebooks so many times trying to get the system that was right for me. I really need to find it because I want to have it just to have it for like informational and archival purposes. Like I don't want to get rid of this because this shows, you know, where I started, the date, and then when I paid it off, you know, that's also listed down here. So it's also makes me feel proud because paying off so much debt is an accomplishment, and paying off much less than this would be an accomplishment. So now I'm to the point where I want to start saving, and I'm trying to keep myself pretty much credit card debt free. I am not debt free totally because I do have, my husband and I have 2 car leases, and we also have a mortgage. So and I have a student loan. So there are things in life that I owe. But for me, the biggest part of being debt-free is not to have the credit cards or personal loans and things like that looming over my head. And it's something that I dealt with for a really, really long time. So I'm happy to be where I'm at. But some people have asked, how did I create this? Or would I be able to create this and put this as a printable on Etsy? And the answer is yes and no. To be able to create something like this, I take the total amount of the debt and then I break it down. In this case, I broke it down in increments of $100. So every time I made another $100 dent in the debt, I colored off another block. So that was the easiest way I could do it. So basically what I did is I started out with $14,400. I divided it by 100, and then that's how many blocks I did here. So really simple. Take your debt. In this case, it was $14,400. And then let's say you want to, I mean, you could divide it by anything. If you want to color a block every time you make a $25 payment, let's divide that by 25 then. That means you need 576 blocks. That's a lot of blocks and usually too much for one piece of paper. So in this case, I took 14,400 and I divided it by 100. So I needed 144 blocks, much more doable. And in this case, I was able to count the lines on the paper, and then I just spaced them out just a bit, and I came up with 144 blocks. So that's what you see here. Now, let's say your debt is 10,000. Let's make it nice and round. And you want to color in every time you make a $50 payment. So let's divide that by 50. That means you need 200 blocks. Again, that's probably doable for one page. I think anything above 200 blocks, you probably need to think about going to a second page. So right here, I am trying to save enough money to have a 6-month emergency fund should I lose my job. If you guys are familiar with, you know, my channel and you've been watching my videos, you know the setbacks that I've had with my job. So I decided, this is probably a couple months ago, maybe now, that I wanted to create this emergency fund and I wanted to have it available should something happen. So what I did is I took my salary. Okay, 30/30, that's approximately what I bring in every month. Now that is going to change as of July. As you know, I've talked about that a lot. But just for the sake of the emergency fund, I want to kind of also figure things high because I always like to be more covered than not. So what I did is I took 30/30 because that's what I take home. And then I multiply that by 6, so 6 months. And that gave me $18,180 that I need for an emergency fund. So what I did with this is I just rounded up to 18,200. All right, and I divided it by 100. So that means I need 182 blocks to color in if I'm going to be able to color block every time I add $100 to this fund. So that's what you see here. I have exactly I believe, I hope I counted right, I have 182 blocks here. And what I'm going to do is decorate a little bit up here, and I'm going to write Sinking Fund 2020 up here. And I'll have like emergency fund, you know, written somewhere. I don't know if it'll be here in the margin or if it'll be up here in the corner, but I'll have sinking fund, or I'll have emergency fund written on the page. And then I'll be able, every time I add to my sinking fund, I'll be able to come to my chart and I'll be able to color things in. Now, some of you may be asking, what's the purpose of this? You're already keeping track of that in your envelope. You have a little card in there, and that is so true. The purpose for this is just satisfaction / entertainment value. I really find it exciting and just so rewarding to see something like this and to color it in. So I feel like every time I make a little bit of progress, whether it's paying down debt or it's paying up into my emergency fund, I feel like I just want to see that in color and have the satisfaction of coloring in a block. I think it's sometimes just like when you see maybe some kind of I don't know, fundraiser, and you know, you guys recognize the old-timey fundraiser that would have like the thermometer, and you know, the bottom of the thermometer be nice and round, and then it would get thin toward the top, and then they would color in as far, you know, as close as they would get to their goal. So you know, you see the thermometer go up. Unfortunately, I guess I could do a thermometer, but I wouldn't be able to record increments of 100 because the thermometer wouldn't be big enough. I just don't have paper big enough for that. So that is what I'm doing for my emergency fund. So I also wanted to mention, and I used to do this as a video itself. When I would pay down some credit card debt, I would make a video and I would color this with you guys, anybody who's watching. And I thought that was a lot of fun. So I've decided that I'm going to go back to that. And what I've done here is I took some scrapbook paper and I made this little dashboard, or divider rather, and I used one of my Avery tabs. These are linked down below. These are so handy, it's crazy. I love these, and they're repositionable, so if you find that you don't want this on this paper anymore, you can pull this off and stick it somewhere else. But anyways, I wrote Christmas Club there. And then I made this graph. So this is how I'm going to be tracking my Christmas Club goals. And I told you guys, I think I mentioned it in my video of my sinking funds, that I needed to start thinking about actual goals for my sinking funds. And I do have my goal for emergency, and now I have my goal for Christmas Club. So as you can see, I have a little start block right down here, and I'm using increments of 25 in this, and that's because I'm only going to 1500. I don't want to say only, but for the purpose of making a graph, that's not really that many blocks, so I decided that I could actually do increments of 25. So I'm starting down here, I'm going to work my way up, I'm going to start down here again, work my way up, and then down here, and work my way toward $1,500. So I have decided, after putting some thought into it and making some lists and things like that, that $1,500 should cover me very well for the Christmas holiday, for everything that we need to buy. And some of you will be thinking that's not enough, and some of you will be thinking that's too much. It's again, it's just subjective for everyone. So I decided to make this extremely extra and just color it in and go crazy with it, and like lots of doodles and stuff, because that kind of thing makes me happy. So I am going to be doing a video and showing you guys where I'm at on this journey. And of course, after I complete my chart for my emergency fund, I will be doing a video and color in where I'm at with that, just to bring everything up to date. So I'm also going to be making a divider for my emergency fund. This is my budget planner. So if anybody is new here, this is a big happy planner, and this is the watercolors version from 2019. It came out you know, with the 18-month planners halfway through the year. So this is so pretty, and I'm so glad that I have a use for it now, because I just think it's beautiful. And that's the planner. So for the cover, back this up. This is a tulle notebook cover, and it's really nice, super durable. And I had mentioned this in another video before. If you do get tulle notebooks, you can actually use the back as a cover too. You can just flip it upside down. The only thing is it's going to have tulle written upside down, but you could probably cover that if that bothered you. But you could probably get 2 covers out of this and then use something like the Happy Planner cover for the back. You know, there's lots of options, and there's lots of ways to use the things that you have and reuse and repurpose. But this particular, it gets so close to my camera, this particular notebook cover I really love, just because I like the color of it and I like the pattern on the front, but it also has pockets in here that I could put some things into. I've just not had a reason to do that as of yet, and probably because I've only been using the system since I've been working from home. So if I take this to work with me, I probably could just stash a few things in there if I wanted to work on my budget planner at work. But yeah, I love this. This cover is called Brilliance. So if you are out and about on the internet and you want to just try your luck at finding something like this, it is called Tulle, T-U-L, and the pattern is called Brilliance, and it did come in other colors as well. This was just the rose gold one. As you can see when the light hits it, it's just so pretty. But yeah, that is my tracker video and kind of what I've been up to, and I'm really excited to start using these notebooks and things like that. Or I don't know, if somebody would be interested in some homemade notebooks, maybe I can list them on Etsy as well. I find lots of uses for traveler's notebooks, and the traveler's notebook system is something that I have been using forever. I mean, I have loved that system since I got my first Webster's Pages planner, and it just, I don't know, everything about it just made me so happy and made me feel so organized. But yeah, so that is what I've been up to, and I thank you for spending some time with me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a thumbs up. That really helps my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love if you stuck around and did so. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Again, all Etsy advice and things like that is welcomed. I love to hear your feedback. You guys have some really great ideas, and very often in your comments you leave some little tidbits that I haven't thought of before, so it's very helpful to me, and I really appreciate that. But I will be back. I'll be doing a separate video to show you the after of my emergency fund and the Christmas club, and then coloring in where we are with that, because I think that part of it is fun, and like I said, it's super satisfying and it just makes me feel very motivated. When I see progress, I want to achieve more progress. So that's all, guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Take care.